Well, you guys know what week this is. It is the week with John SWANBECK, and we are going to have so much fun because we always do. Okay, John, do you have a joke for us today?
How did you know? Yes, well, I do have a joke. Now, unfortunately, it's a Halloween joke, and by the time this airs, Halloween will be over. However, it's fortunately a funny joke, I hope, and it's about actors.
Okay, all right.
Terrific. Okay, so um, why do actors hate Halloween?
Why do actors hate Halloween? I don't know, because everybody is in costume. I don't know why.
All those boos.
Ba-dum-bump. That was good. That was good. That was
And
good.
I actually have another Halloween joke that's not actor related, but it's still funny.
Okay.
So knock knock.
Who's there?
Boo.
Boo hoo.
What are you crying for? It's supposed to be funny. Actually, for my sessions, I like to start with a joke about actors, just to get them just to get the day off. But unfortunately, that's a Halloween joke. So when they see it, Halloween will have been passed, but they can save it for next Halloween.
I save it for next Halloween because yes, you are the first Thursday of the month, and Halloween was just last Saturday. And I hope everybody had fun, not partying and not trick or treating.
Yes, we hope you had fun doing nothing.
Exactly. Exactly. So, John, what do you think we should talk about today?
Okay, I always have things to talk about. I want to start with a question. I've been sort of evolving my sessions so that they're evolved beyond the typical class. I think of them more as an on-camera cinematic jam session. It's like a jam session with musicians. We all get together with our instruments and we just riff on different ideas. And through that, we're learning and developing our cinematic powers. So I've been doing that. I'm in the process of doing that. That's going really well. And I try to start each session with a question that makes actors go, huh, never thought about that. And this is perfect for you. This is the one that I asked for my sessions last week, but it's perfect for you being a photographer. And you'll have opinions. That I'll have an answer. Mine's my opinion. You'll have an opinion. Someone in your audience will have an opinion. But the question is, when they say that person was born to be on camera, what are they talking about? What do they mean when they say that person was born to be on camera?
I feel when people, because I get that, oh, I'm really photogenic or, whatever, I was born to be on camera, that they just naturally have the ability to relax in front of the camera and allow the camera to capture their essence without, because I think the number one, in my opinion, the number one thing that stops people from being photogenic or good on camera is that when the camera comes up, that feeling that people get, and then they start thinking, they like overthink everything. They're like, am I standing at the right angle? What is my hair okay? Is my eyes okay? And what am I looking at? Where am I supposed to look? And you and I were just talking about this related to something else. I myself can be an overthinker, just like I can go there in a heartbeat and what if. But that would be my opinion, is the people that are naturally photogenic just don't have that fear. And so the camera can capture them. So
that's interesting. When I developed my YouTube channel, I was, to say the least, not a natural on camera, despite the fact that this is what I try to sort of communicate to actors. It took me a year of putting myself on camera every day until I never thought about it anymore. And I think we've said this before. One of the best pieces of advice I can give to an actor, how do you what's the best advice you can give it to an actor about for acting on camera? My advice always is to live on camera. Live there every day. Be there every day. Your favorite film and television actors never think about it for the most part. It's because they're just so used to being there. And I say live there until you're bored. And when you're bored being there, that's when you'll be, that's when you'll look like you live on camera. But I always like to break things down into solutions that I can give to actors so that I'm not just speaking in concepts,
Mm-hmm.
where they can actually, they can say, okay, if I do this, I do this, I do this, I get that. Because my thing is I'm all about solutions, not theories. So for me, and I completely agree with you about what it means. They say that person was born to be on camera. I think you're absolutely right. So I sort of was thinking along the same lines with one additional element. Um, the first one the first two speak to what you said. The first one is you need to learn how to be still on camera. If you're all that nervous movement, or I need to move because I need to be comfortable, it's everything you're saying. Being still on camera should be the default position. If you can't be comfortably still on camera, then you've got a problem. You've got something to work on. It's one of the biggest things to someone looking like they belong on camera, I think. The second one is, can they throw away their lines? So they get everything going, their emotion, their choices, everything. But actors like to hold on to what they're doing. For dear life, they're very precious about it. They want to make it very important. They're taught to make it very important. Everything has meaning and its importance, and it's really important what you do with it, and you have to do something significant with it, which is not very human. So it's not real. And I know casting directors say this all the time. They'll say, throw it away, throw it away, throw it away, throw it away. When they give advice to actors, like, throw it away, throw it away. And actors are like, what do you mean throw it away? It's you do all the work and then you literally just throw it away. I mean, you really just think about throwing your performance away, the lines away. And if you've done the work properly, everything's going to be there. It's not as though you're literally throwing away your character and your choices. You're just not hanging onto the lines for dear life and trying to make them important and not trying to make them precious. So when actors want to be real on camera, that's absolutely one of the ways to be real on camera. I don't care how solid you are on camera, how strong you are, what good delivery skills you have. If you are hanging on to everything for dear life because it's really important and you're doing something important with it, you won't look real.
Because in real life we don't do that. If I have a point to make, I may make the point, but then I don't just like, I don't do the soap opera like pause for effect. Like that's not how we do it in real life. So that makes sense.
And it's not only a soap opera pause, it's that they hang on to the line.
Yeah.
Even if no pause, it's sort of the line, they're almost like reluctant to let it go, or they're trying to do something really important with it as they speak. You and I have been talking for 10 or 15 minutes, we've thrown everything away.
Right.
Right. That's, like you just said, that's what human beings do. So if they want to come across real and so therefore look like they belong on camera or born to be on camera, that's the second one. So they have to learn how to be effortlessly still and relaxed. They have to learn how to throw everything away, no matter how important it is. And for me, this is the one that really interests me. They have to be able to do one thing and one thing only for an entire take. They have to be able to sustain, what it's like. So you're taking a headshot of somebody and you get them into character and you're just about to take the headshot and they change the character. And you're, wait a minute, what are you doing? Well, I'm changing because, it's more interesting on camera. That's completely crazy. The other thing I tell actors is, why is it when the headshot photographer is taking a photograph of you, why aren't you blinking and scrunching your face and moving your eyebrows? And why aren't you doing all that? What do you mean, why are you doing all that? Because it would ruin the picture. Exactly. It would ruin the picture. And so you have to be able to sustain one thing. If you're doing a lot of different things along the way, which actors love to do, they love nothing more than to keep it interesting along the way. And by not being able to sustain one thing, you won't look like you were born to be on camera. You look like you were actually not born to be on camera. And then actors say to me, well, what about being one note? What about being one note? And that's not the way the camera works. The way the camera works is in layers. So you won't be one note on camera if you create layers. You have to sustain one thing throughout the take, but in order to not be one note, you have to create layers. But they're always afraid of being one note because they were taught every beat's a little different, every line's a little different, but it's exactly like we were just saying. That would be the headshot photographer saying, there it is, okay, ready, and then they move. And then they move again, and then move again. And they're wondering why the headshot doesn't work. So that was my question last week. How to look like you were born to be on camera.
That's really good. And just this morning before we did this, I had a client in the studio, a 17-year-old, and I love working with young people because they're more, I don't know, they're not at the I know everything stage yet, I guess. I don't know. But I was trying to get more than just the smile cheesy from him. So we really went deep into a character, and we were talking, and, I'd taken some pictures of the same expression, but then we talked and he got into character, and I took a couple images and I showed him the difference, and he was shocked. And that's the same thing. It's like when you have just a still intention, the camera picks that up. You don't have to do something big and elaborate. The camera, that's the job of the camera. It's going to pick that up. And I showed him side by side when it was just like him trying to, really work at giving me, that look, versus when he just relaxed into it and allowed himself to feel that look. And he was like, oh, I get it now. And I was like, yeah, you just, what does that look like means how does that feel? Because when you feel it, the camera will see it. And that's exactly what I think. Did I nail that? Is that pretty much what does that line up with what you're saying? Just kind of let it just be it.
Right. Yeah. No, that's exactly what I was saying. I published this on social media last week. Um, the fastest way to make a film take work is with as little effort as possible.
I read that. I saw that one.
And a lot of actors, because they're taught that their work should be important and everything should be important. That's what they're taught. That's the actor's process. They're taught that. You're getting ready to roll the camera, and it's like, they're ready to attack. They're ready to play a scene and hit out of the ballpark and win an Academy Award. Really, just squeeze as much juice out of it as they possibly can. And that it just doesn't look real. It doesn't look effortless. So yeah, I think that's very important. And I think younger actors will pick up on things maybe a little faster because they're not so trained.
Exactly. That's it. Because we're all trained, we all have our things that we are trained to believe, and
Right.
It's hard to let go of those things. I think you said before, like, everything you learn, you just have to let it go, let all that go so that you can, be basically in so you can be in the moment. And I think it's important to have training. I am never going to say don't get training. That's absolutely important. But just like if you go to school if you go to college to be an accountant, when you get to that job, you're not going to do the same things you did in college. That was to prepare you for the job. And that's what acting training and acting school is. It's to prepare you to do the job. And I think that's where a lot of times actors feel like their training is so precious and their process is so precious that they want to be in acting school instead of on the job.
Right. I'm the same as you. There's no bigger proponent of the actor's process. But I also know that it doesn't work on camera because it wasn't designed to be on camera. And I'll say to actors, the 7 words you've never heard in acting class are, and here's why it works on camera, because it doesn't. It wasn't designed for it. It was designed so that the actor connects to the material and makes it real and works on their emotional resources and other things. But it wasn't, nobody ever put the whole thing together and said, because it's going to work on camera. You just have to know how to use it so that it works on camera. It does work really well on camera if you know how to rearrange the elements. Which I think a lot of actors don't. They don't know how to rearrange the elements. They just want a process to work always for everything. I think that because the process is so good and so brilliant, um, actors don't need to cling to it every time because the process takes care of them. I actually think the process was designed to do away with itself. The process is designed to get to the point where you're natural, and then you don't have to cling to the process so much anymore. So, sorry, that might have been a. So I think, I think that's why it's an art form and not a science. It's a paradox. It's very much a paradox. It's brilliant. You need it. You have to learn it, but you have to be able to leave it at the doorstep when you walk in, and trust that it's going to take care of you. Let the process take care of you instead of you take care of the process.
A saying that photographers say is it's important to know all the rules and all the elements of photography so that you know which rules you can throw out the door and let your creativity show through. And I think that's the same in any industry that's art based. Is it's important to know the rules, it's important to know the foundations so that you understand what's okay to throw out and be creative.
Right. I agree.
Yeah.
So what was the other thing I was going to, here's something I was thinking about recently, that I've been sort of working with my classes on. Oh boy, that's the phone in the background. Should I get up and get that? Should we let it ring? Should we pretend that we don't hear it?
Should we just pretend like it doesn't exist?
We don't hear it. What are you talking about? There's no.
What phone? There wasn't a phone in our vlog. I'm just super happy that it's on your end because normally I'm the one that has some, I had a kid walk through here a second ago and I was like, I'm sure everyone heard that. That's cool. It's 2020.
For how much longer though? Good Lord, for how much longer? Okay, so here's something I'm starting to have my actors think about. You know how I'm sure you know this. They're told if you're working on something, don't watch the original because you don't want to be influenced by it. Everybody says that. They've said it for forever. And the way I think and the way I work is to take assumptions and turn them inside out. Because that's how I tend to learn. If I just take assumptions at face value, I'm not going to learn. I'm not going to dig. So I tend to try to look at things from the reverse as much as I can. And I've come to the conclusion that one of the best things you can do when learning how to be on camera, when you're working on a scene from something, is to watch the original. Because most actors don't naturally understand the things we're talking about. How to be still, how to throw things away, how to sustain something through a take, all of those things. And so they'll watch the original and they'll think, I love that scene, but I'm not going to watch it. So I've started to do this thing where I'll tell the actor, no, let's look at the original, then we'll look at your version of it, and you can compare how much you're moving with how much that person's moving. You can compare how much you're throwing something away and how much that person's throwing something away, how much you're sustaining one idea and how much. I'm not saying do the emotions that the person's doing or use their character ideas, but you can see the cinematic elements. You can see whatever choice they have, they are sustaining it through the entire take. They're not changing all the way through. And they're probably not moving very much, or if they're moving, how they're moving. So I'm not saying be influenced by the choices, but be influenced by the cinematic execution, because you're basically learning from your heroes. You're learning from the experts that you admire, that you idolize. You're learning how they execute. I'm just talking about the execution of things. So I would recommend at least trying it for your audience, and if they want a safe space to do it, just pick up a scene and work on it aside from it being for anything, and take the original take, get the clip, and then take your take and look at them side by side, and just compare how much you're moving with how much they're moving, how much they're throwing away from how much you're throwing away. how much they're sustaining through the take and how much you're sustaining through the take, how much they're not changing and how much you're changing, because it'll be an incredibly eye-opening experience. You will think, well, I like my choices, but you're going to see, as you're learning, I'm saying, as you're learning about the camera, you're going to see a clear difference between how you're executing something and how they're executing something, and an undeniable difference. And the other thing you should do, and I've said this to you before, is watch that take with the volume muted. Watch film and television with the volume muted anyway. But when you do that taste test, that comparison, watch the original with the volume muted, watch it without the volume muted, compare it to yours, and that's where you'll see a difference. And you're going to say to yourself things like, oh my gosh, they're not moving. Oh my gosh, they're really sort of doing the same thing all through the take, although there's 100 things going on. They're really doing the same thing throughout the take. You're going to see those cinematic elements. So I'm starting to have people do it, and they're almost a little stunned by what they've been missing. So I wanted to recommend that to your audience to think about.
And that's something that every single person that's watching this video can do. They can download a script from their favorite whatever, some scene that they want to do. You can set up your cell phone. You can do that. You can clip it, and then you can literally do that. Like this is something you can do right now in quarantine. You can do that, and I like that. That's a great self-teaching moment to see, wow, look at that. So would you recommend, like, let them do their scene, and then once they've got that, then just compare the choices they made and how much they're moving versus what was chosen and how it was, the final cut is. Yeah.
When I work with actors, like I said, it's a jam session. So that's one of the things we'll do. We'll all get together, and I'll say, all right, everyone pick up your musical instrument, as it were, and we're going to do this for the first hour. And then we'll go and work on a different scene that we're not comparing it to anything, or we're not doing that. We're just working on it as you would ordinarily, organically. And then we'll do a different way with the third scene. So it is more of a jam session, but I do that for one part of it. And yes, they just will look at the clip of the original, and then we'll look at theirs. And I can't tell you how many times people are stunned, because when they're just thinking about the delivery of it, they'll think, oh my gosh, because I'll tell people I'm trying to get them to not move all the time. And even when they think they're not moving, they're still moving. And it's really hard to get them to do. But when you can sort of shock them into that realization, they'll get over it very, very, very quickly. These cinematic ideas, these delivery ideas we're talking about, people can make the transition very quickly once they've had their eyes open. So I'm seeing people that are I'm seeing that people are making much faster advances in my sessions than they had been because of that one idea. And then once they have that down, well, then we go on to work on things, and they're not comparing it to the original, and it's more of an organic thing for them. But if I can just do that once with them, it's an incredibly eye-opening experience.
Well, and that's the thing, is once you recognize it, you see it. Until you see it, you don't see it. So I think that's powerful, just to recognize it, because then you realize that you're like, oh, I'm doing that thing again that I don't want to do. So that's a really powerful, very powerful.
Yeah, I find it's proving very effective. And people's response is usually one of horror. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm doing this. And then they start to look at everything differently. Oh my gosh, everyone else is doing this. And so it doesn't take away their active process. It's just how they execute it cinematically. It reminds me of, I've spoken to a number of actors who do this, and I'm sure a number of your viewers have done this, where they go and they volunteer for a casting director, and they're going to be the reader in the casting sessions, just going in to be the reader for all the actors who come into audition. And that's an incredibly eye-opening, if not horrifying, experience for the actors, because they realize, oh my gosh, everyone's coming in, and a lot of people are not very good because they don't know how to sit still. They don't know how to be natural. They don't know how to relax. They don't know how to, they're doing too much. They're just those cinematic things we're talking about. and it changes somebody like that. I was working with somebody recently, a few weeks, couldn't get her to really understand the concept of being cinematic, as I like to call it. And she went and not volunteered for casting director. And she said she was horrified because she realized, oh my gosh, they're making a lot of mistakes and I make the same mistakes. She came in for a session with me a week after she worked with that casting director, and all of her problems were gone. Now think about it. All of her problems were gone in just the snap of her fingers. And then she could get back to the important work, the emotional work, character work, connecting with the material. Then she could get back to all of that, and the execution of it would be like poetry. And I was astonished because she had huge problems just in terms of not being able to stop moving her face. And then all of those went away. They were gone in a week. I was stunned.
Wow.
Yeah, and so I highly recommend that if anyone's inclined. And then I highly recommend doing this other thing I talked about, where you do actually look at something, look at the original from something you're doing.
I like it. I think that would be a great eye opener. I think that's a great practice, a great thing to have your eyes open to.
Yeah, it's proving really great, because otherwise it's not poetry. Otherwise it's as though you're a ballet dancer and you're tripping all over the stage, and none of us can expect anyone to pay money for that, let alone hire it. And just because you're connected to the material, it's like saying, just because I connect to the music, I can dance Swan Lake. That's crazy. No one wants me to dance Swan Lake. But so it's poetry, it's elegant, profound motion expressed poetically. And all we're sort of talking about is the cinematic poetry element of it. We're not talking about profound emotions. We're just talking about the execution. It's like dance. It's dance, it's music, it's poetry.
That's awesome.
That's been proving very interesting. Yeah.
So pretty much, would you say all the students that you're doing that with, they're seeing, like, they're all like kind of like mind-blowing, eye-opening? I mean, I would guess that almost everybody doesn't realize they do that. And so having something that's right in your face, you can't, I think that would be really eye-opening for almost everyone. I don't think anybody shouldn't do this. I think this is a great for everyone.
Right. No, it's been very eye-opening. People are shocked, and some people might need a little longer to make the transition than others, but just seeing it right there and then comparing their work to it is very eye-opening. People are it's going really well. And then once you're past that, once people can understand that, they're sort of on board with it. And you do that for a little while. It might feel a little stiff, a little restrained, restricting for a little while, for a couple of weeks. But once you live with it for a couple of weeks, you get used to it very quickly. And then I think you start to love it. You start living in that space. I can promise you, our favorite film and television actors, Merrick included, they love to live in that space, that poetic, cinematic space, because they understand the power of it. So once actors can get on board, they love it.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Well, John, you've already given us like a ton of great stuff this week. You're just on point this week. So what else? What do you think we should cover? Anything else, or do we give everybody enough to think on for the? I think people should comment. I think all you guys, I want you viewers, everybody that's watching this, I'm challenging you. I want you to do this, and I want you to leave us comments and tell us like, oh, wow, this is a scene I did. And no kidding, that was really cool. I saw something that, I didn't realize I was doing. Like, leave us a comment, because I'm curious how many of you will get off your behinds and do this, because it's something you could do really quick. You don't have to spend hours doing this. You can just do it.
Yeah, and you're right. It's a great idea for COVID, since we're all locked up.
Yeah. So, and the weather's starting to turn, so it's getting a little chilly outside, which I'm going to have to admit, I'm kind of happy about this whole 103 weather, and in October was a bit much for me. So
Seriously, oh, it's coming back to next week. I think we're going up back into the
when they're watching this, they're going to be like, what is she talking about? It's 95. But yeah.
That's right. No, I think we were all sick of that heat. I think we were sick of that. So,
well, that was great. So do you have any final quotes or tidbits for us, or should we wrap it up today?
Well, we can wrap it up, but I'll give you one more, and since you're a photographer, and then we can end it after this. I published this online, and I have a series of these. And oh, this is great. I should maybe bring in the series sometime, and we should talk about it since you're a photographer. This is one that I published a few days ago on social media, and it reads, adding innocence to a character makes an actor look younger on camera.
I saw that.
That's not
and
bad.
Here, do you want to know you want me to like tell you what I thought when I read that? You want me to unpack it and then you can tell me? Okay. So I read that and I was like, I read it twice, as most of your quotes I do, because they seem so simple, but then they're always complex. So I read that and I thought about it, and it's when like you can take a young actor that's in a weird situation in a scene, and that actor immediately looks not 13 but maybe 18 because of the situation. So if you take even someone my age and you add an innocence to it, not necessarily even a naiveness, but an innocence, which naive and innocent are similar, but they're not the same. They're not always the same. Then you've knocked me down, because wisdom comes with age. So when you take some of that out, it makes it less threatening. Like you can take a threatening situation and make it less threatening when you have a different take on it. You see where I don't even know if I'm verbalizing that right. So
no, that's exactly what it means. Absolutely. And for me, a part of what we do is illusion. I understand that everyone's trying to be real, and no one more so than me, but I'm trying to be real from the camera's perspective. But some of what we do is illusion, and it's just when you put makeup on to make a character look younger, older. You're using emotional makeup, and adding innocence to a character is just using emotional makeup. And I understand innocence may not be a part of every character, but you can add it as an element, and the actor will absolutely look younger on camera. It's just emotional makeup. And that's
emotional makeup. I love that.
Just another thing they should try while they're locked indoors in COVID.
Try some emotional makeup on.
And
that can go either way.
It can, absolutely. Absolutely. It can absolutely go either way. And we're all obsessed with taking Instagram photos of ourselves, and we're always posing and looking at this look and how to make ourselves look good here. We're putting things through filters and all this. It's sort of the same thing, but using the emotions to do it.
Exactly. And you see these little teenagers doing these seductive looks. It makes them look older. I mean, the camera picks it up. So that's exactly the same psychology. Exactly the same psychology.
Your audience should try that one as well and let us know. I can guarantee if they do it, the result is going to be, oh my gosh, I'm younger.
So we always wing it. Like that's kind of our thing. We just come in here unscripted and we talk and we have fun. But I have an idea, because you said you have this series. So next month is our last video of the year of 2020. Sure. Let's talk about headshots from a director's, let's do that. Let's talk about headshots.
That's good.
All right. So you plan, and you can surprise me or you can email me, whatever you want to do, but let's talk about that. I think that would be fun for our audience because looking good on camera and camera tips you know, is both in the motion camera and the still camera. So I would love to get headshot tips from a director. You know, what does a director want to see in your headshot? What makes you look like you're a fit for a role? Because mistakenly, a lot of actors still believe that the casting director is who books you, and the casting director brings you to their client, and the director, the producer, whoever's in charge of those decisions actually. Now, sometimes the casting director does, depending on the project, but most of the time they're showing you to their clients. So
I'm biting my tongue because I already want to start spewing off a bunch of things I think about headshots, but I'll save them. And your audience can leave some questions about those, set us up for some of those if they want.
Absolutely. And if you guys have specific questions about headshots that you want to ask John, you want John and I to kind of unpack next week or next month, leave those comments. And yeah, I think that's great. I think we covered so much. I love it when everybody knows this is my favorite segment of the month. Yay. So, well, guys, leave comments, share this all over the place. Show John some love. Make sure you follow him on all of his social media. Of course, all of his links are below in the description. Most importantly, have an amazing week, and I'll see you next week.